Howdy there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News. I am your noxious host, Matt. Alongside with me, as always, is Lauren. And today we are going to be reviewing Captain America, Brave New World. We saw it finally. Last week we did our MegaCon wrap-up. We put a nice little bow boop there. And this week we are talking Captain America. Some spoilers will be on later on this episode. But as always, we like to start off with what we're reading or watching and some news before we go into our main topic and our beer of the week. So my beer of the week is going to be from Definitive Brewing. I felt it was very fitting for this one. One of my favorite breweries of all time out of Maine, first and foremost. But it's called Homies from Afar. And it is actually, like I said, from Maine, it's a double IPA coming in at 8%. I like this one, Homies from Afar. It fit, with Isaiah and the way that he and everybody interacted, Sam and Joaquin and Isaiah, and even to a degree, Thunderbolt Ross and things like that in this movie. Felt like it was a very fitting on-brand beer. Real quick, though, if you guys can go ahead, like, subscribe, share, follow, all of that good stuff on podcast platform, Hops Geek News, social media. We're there, too. We have a website. It's linked in the notes below. Do us a favor. Help the podcast grow. And let us know what you guys think as well. So, Lauren, with that ugly, disgusting jersey, first of all, Jimmy Butler isn't even with the.
This is not a Jimmy Butler jersey. This is Dwayne Wade.
Yeah, well,
I never bought a Jimmy Butler. All my jerseys are Dwayne Wade, and I have one Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh, well, you know what? I can live with Shaquille O'Neal. I actually
wear
don't
that one too.
Actually, Dwayne Wade's pretty good, as far as standing up for especially his children. So I'll give you that.
D Wade is the man. It's Miami Wade County 305. Well, and I wear my Shaquille O'Neal Miami Heat jersey to Magic games when they're not playing the Heat. Because then when people are like, "Oh, why are you wearing that?" I'm like, it's still Shaquille O'Neal. We have a common basketball friend.
The Celtics had Shaquille O'Neal too at one point.
So we're not gonna do spoilers until we get to the main part, and we'll warn you for spoilers. But one thing, it's not a spoiler to the plot. We did learn that the new Falcon is from Miami, and he's a huge Miami sports fan. We saw him sporting the U right away. He had a Miami Heat jacket. He had a U hat. So I also have in my beer is in my Miami Hops glass. So shout out to Miami Hops. He makes some awesome Miami sports teams. Fun beer glasses. And so the beer I actually picked, though, don't worry, it's not even a Miami beer. I got a Calusa beer from Sarasota, Florida. Calusa. And you had one of these. So it's hazy IPA forward. So I grabbed it thinking we're moving forward in this franchise and this movie really brought stuff together. But then I looked in the back and it literally says, "Together we move beer forward." Okay. So it was Yakima hops or Yakima Chief hops and Yakima Chief branches. So they were an official member of Something 2024, and they brewed in partnership with FWD, the new hop innovation program from Yakima Chief hops and Yakima Chief ranches. It features mosaic hops and yada, yada, yada. But this beer is fantastic. I love it. It's amazing. And I'm about to pose it with my little Captain
This is
America.
Actually a collaboration beer as well with Crowns and Hops out of Englewood, California.
Look at that.
I saw it and I looked, but yeah. Anyways, we'll get to the spoiler part because actually there is a big part about the togetherness that I want to talk about this movie. So before we get there, though, let's talk about our comic book reviews for nerdinitiative.com for New Comic Book Day, February 19th. When you're listening to this, if you haven't picked any of these up, we're going to tell you why you probably should. So the first one I want to talk about is Zatanna issue 1, DC's All-In series. This is their first issue. Jamal Campbell went out there, lights out. The man did art, colors, everything but the lettering, and it's really good. I'm a big Zatanna fan. I really enjoy Zatanna and the DC dark side of the universe. I'm a big DC fan as well, as you may know. But Zatanna is my favorite magical DC character in the DC universe. And so
Not Constantine?
No, I love Zatanna, man. She's got a tumultuous past. This blends a few different art styles in. They do some really cool things with the panels, and they shard it at points. And she's basically traveling through trying to save her cast members she's doing magic tricks at a theater, and there's a ghost from the theater that kidnaps the people that she's working with. And so she's using her magic to kind of get them back. And what's really cool is there's movie posters and different artworks, and it's really cool how it's all blended together in different art styles on these panels. And anytime somebody does the entire comic just about themselves, it blows my mind because there's so many different art styles in this book. And then to throw on top the story that he's got to talk about. So pick that one up. I cannot talk about that one enough. And then I have Ultimate Wolverine issue 2 is another one I picked up. I am a big Wolverine fan.
I haven't read that one yet.
Well, no spoilers, but this is really good. So Chris Condon, Alessandro Cappuccio, if I pronounce that wrong, I apologize. Brian Valenza and VC's Corey Pettit. And then, this is more of Wolverine. He's the Winter Soldier at this point, right? We know that. And no surprise there if you've been keeping up with anything. It's really good, honestly. This one's more horror feeling and there's a really freaking gruesome panel in it that's blew my mind. So you really should check that out. Yeah. There is this
panel. Just talk about it at MegaCon got me hyped.
I would love to spoil that, but I'll let you read it. Go check it out. There's just one of the final pages is gruesome and absolutely insane. From there, I also did Batman and Robin Year 1, Issue 5 from Mark Waid. We got Chris Samney, who did the art cover, and then Matthias Lopez, the colorist.
Not Matthias.
Howells was the letterer. This is more Batman and Robin. Basically, what I love about this is that Bruce is still trying to figure out how to be a dad. So we're seeing the humanistic side to Bruce Wayne versus just the Batman side of things. This also has like some fun, Joel Schumacher vibes when Robin goes like Bruce is doing Batman stuff by himself one night. Robin runs away on a Robin bike and he gets himself into trouble, and it just has vibes from Batman and Robin, and it's pretty good. So I think you should check that out. Creature Commandos issue 5 was another one I did, and that's from David Dasmalchian, Jesus Hervas, Alex Guermeres, and Ferran Delgado. This is Creature Commandos. They're going after Brainiac, and there's the government obviously is not everybody's friend. So this kind of is the penultimate issue, if you will, to kind of set up. There's 3 different sides: the government, the creatures. There's really cool artworks where they go from having fun, kind of doing their mission, to they have to beast out, so to speak, to save their lives. And that was really well done artistically. I like the way the story's going. And then 2 more left. I have Aliens versus Avengers issue 3. This is, Jonathan Hickman's writing this one. I'm loving it. Asad Ribic. I cannot pronounce this very well, but Sorkina. I'm sorry. And then Corey Pettit. This takes our Avengers who have escaped. We get to see Iron Man's wheelchair turns into the Iron Man suit, and Miles Morales has the symbiote with him. Carol, they've escaped Earth. They land at Mars. Things kind of go sideways, and there's a character that shows up. I'm not going to spoil who it is, but I think you should read this. He might have a few claws, if you will, and he's an old man, like everybody is. That was very cool. And then very lastly, Alien Paradiso number 3. This team is Steve Fox, Edgar Salazar, Jason Muir, Victor Nava, Carlos Lopez, Peter Wynn, who does the Xenomorph point of view, and then Clayton Cowles. Man, I am liking this. I'm loving the point of view from the aliens. This is kind of a horror. There's a really cool scene in a sauna where the aliens are stalking, it's prey. It's got that suspenseful vibe to it. And the art's really, really cool. And the story itself is kind of like that science fiction action mixed in with the horror as the Alien franchise does. So Aliens has some really good comic books out right now that you guys should be reading. But that's what I did. If you want to see more, nerdinitiative.com. But Lauren, I'm rambling about my comic book Rex this week. What did you get into this week?
So I did one from the Minor Threats world called The Brood. This is issue number 3. Yeah, this one's kind of cool because what they're doing is like each one, it's kind of like when they did the alternates, like each issue is about a different like person. So it's like the world's worst villain, but it's his family and like his kids are grown and stuff's going on. So they're, last week we met the daughter. This week we're meeting the son who wants nothing to do with his father. And of course his goal in life is to not become his father. So it's really kind of interesting. And it's also incredibly entertaining and fun and, part of this bigger world. And that is, the script is by Heath Corson, but the story plotting is by him, Patton Oswalt, and Jordan Bloom, who created this world.
Yeah.
And art is by INJ Colbert, and letters are Nate Piekos of Lambot. I feel like I can't say anything that I haven't already said about the Minor Threats world. Just pick up any of the comics.
They kill it. Yeah.
The alternates, all of them have just been so fantastic. And this is completely enjoyable standalone. But there is a character that is spread throughout all of the comics, and it's the first time we're really seeing
they connect each other
more. Yeah, but they've always
cool.
connected to each other very, very subtly. Like this one person will show up for like 5 seconds, or you'll see something in the background, or they'll mention like, oh yeah, when this city was destroyed by that fight. So there's always been overlapping things that were kind of just like, oh okay, a little Easter egg. But in this issue you're really starting to see this one specific person, who I don't want to say who it is for anybody who's been reading it, because I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I want to spoil, but then I don't want to spoil, because what if this is somebody gets into the book from what we're saying? Like, maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know.
Right.
But still, it's one of those, I want to spoil it, but it's hard because I want people to be surprised at certain things.
But this superhero, I've said superhero, we've seen sprinkles of said superhero in each book, but they've really gone into more of this superhero's background a little bit more in this. And I feel like in doing that, they're connecting more of the overarching world. And, so we shall see where that goes. I also did X Factor. So X Factor is a Marvel comic. I think people are sleeping on X Factor. I haven't heard anybody else talking about it, but it's so much fun because it doesn't take itself seriously. It's kind of like a mixture of The Boys and X-Men. And because the X Factor team is based on likes and follows and shares, and they will replace you as quickly as they change the stories in their Instagram account.
Oh, that's cool. That's crazy.
But it's so funny, and like one of the guys that's like in charge is like constantly eating corn dogs in every freaking issue. And it's just like so ridiculous, but it knows it's ridiculous and it calls itself out, but it still feels like a Marvel mutant comic book. So that's really cool. That's written by Mark Russell and artist is Bob Quinn. It's been so much fun. I think that was issue 7.
Bob Quinn's really good. Like I really enjoy, anytime I see Bob Quinn on there, he did Loki Alligator and things like that. He's silently a really good artist and things. So I really enjoy him.
Oh, the art's been so good. And it's funny too, because it's like in every scene, there's like almost always somebody with like a what the F just happened face. So he's really good at creating those like, is this
Those
really
moments,
what we're doing kind of faces? Yes. But then you get that, beautiful X-Men or Wolverine or, Marvel art that you expect and you love and you want to, frame. So X Factor, it's freaking hilarious. If you find like you really just want to break and you don't want to think too much with some of these, get that one. It's so much fun. And then the last one I reviewed this week is Laura Kinney, Wolverine. So this one's written by Erica Schultz, and the art is by Giada Belviso, and color artist is Raquel Rosenberg. I'm loving this. This is only on issue 3. I have read some other Laura stuff in the past, and I feel like the Laura stuff can be hit or miss because they can play it like, she's very young and cater to a younger audience. And that could just be what it is. When they're catering to a younger audience, I'm not the target market. But I feel like this Laura, who's, from, Krakoa has been shut down. The mutants are being discriminated against. It's connecting, obviously, to a whole other bigger world. But she's so good. And her and Daredevil together, Elektra Daredevil, are so good. And they feed off of each other. Like their strengths feed off of each other and their humor feeds off of each other. And I absolutely love the humor aspect where she's just like, this is just a Wolverine, or why am I even trying? But they work so well together. And the fight scenes are like freaking phenomenal in this as well. And then this one ended with a nod to what we're going to get in the next issue. And I'm very excited for that character because I feel like that's going to be just fantastic, especially after other stuff that's going on the big screen. I'm even more excited to read more about this character in the comics. So that's
that's good. Before we move on to some quick news, I will say what I've been watching as well. One big thing that I want to talk about. So in 2 weeks time, Daredevil Born Again comes out, or really next week when this comes out for you guys. So I've been going through and rewatching the entire Daredevil series. So I am 2 episodes away from, I'll be done with it by the time this podcast comes out, from season 3, finishing up the series of Daredevil.
Almost done with one.
Holy crap.
So good.
I forgot, even season 2, it had its moments, like the Hand and Elektra, kind of, whatever. It was fine. And Defenders, I didn't care for at all, that whole story. But, from the end off of season 2 of Daredevil, and then you pick right back up basic, I just, going into season 3, I forgot how damn good season 3 is. It's probably one of the best superhero seasons of all time. I knew what happened, but I forgot how it all happened. The fight sequences, Bullseye, everything with Poindexter, holy shit, dude. It's just brutal, and it was so freaking good. In the fight sequences, I'm just reminded by how damn good it is. And so I'm just about done with that. We're going to be recapping it next week. The 3 seasons.
We will recap that, Defenders, we'll recap Punisher, we'll recap Echo, Hawkeye, and She-Hulk. So we will get you completely up to date. Although I don't even know where the new one takes place in the timeline. Do we know? Is it Death Day? Like everything's in the past?
I'm pretty sure it's a continuation. Yeah. Born Again takes place modern now. It's
but I'm wondering
current timeline, I think.
Was his quick scene, Daredevil's quick scene in Echo, is that definitely in the past? Has he already smashed She-Hulk?
Well, so I'm pretty sure, because at this point in time, Daredevil, I think, has given up Daredeviling again. And so I'm pretty sure. We'll see. We'll find out. We'll have all those answers next week. All right. We'll have all that for you guys next week.
So we'll figure it out. We still have homework to do.
We'll have all that next week. Do you have anything that you watched at all before we move on?
Well, I've been watching a lot of Daredevil. Catching up, I did watch Severance, but I'm not going to go into that. I did read the Alan Scott Green Lantern that Tim Sheridan wrote. I read that actually this morning. That was really cool. So that won a Cheersy. I know you've talked about it on it won a Nerd Initiative Cheersy, but it was really cool because it was it went into a lot of World War II and present day, and a lot of civil rights kind of things, and discrimination against gay people. But it did it in such a really cool we're still fighting Hitler, but I'm telling this story to my son. And it was really cool. I really enjoyed that. I think it was only 6 issues.
Yeah, it's super good. It wasn't a long run at all, and I would love to see more of that because Tim is a damn fine writer. So I would love more of that myself. I'm glad you read it. That makes me pumped. You finally read a DC book.
I've read quite a few DC books at this point. even read
I'm proud of
Absolute
you.
Batman last week. But at the end, I finished my third Supernatural book called Supernatural Witches Canyon. These books are fun. They're not like they're just not super like, wow, this is whatever. And like the last two books I read, one took place in New York, one took place in Key West. So obviously, I've been to those places. Obviously, Key West has a big, place in my heart. So there was a lot of this was like a little town in Arizona. But what's funny about it, in Supernatural, at one point they mentioned that they'd never been to the Grand Canyon. And this takes place near the Grand Canyon. But when Sam's going through the trials and he's almost dying, he talks about how when they camped at Grand Canyon as a kid and Dean had a farty donkey. So yeah, so this book could still be considered canon. But if you like Supernatural, they're really quick reads. They're really easy reads. They're kind of cool, like what it goes into. Like when I figured out who the big bad was, I'm like, I'm an idiot. How did I not see that coming? But I didn't see it coming. So it's fun. If you like Supernatural, they're worth getting. So that's all I've been reading and watching.
All right. Well, let's go into some news real quick. And so not really a lot of news, actually. In regards to Creature Commandos, season 2 is being fast-tracked by DC. And so they're working on a season 2 really fast. Really only have a couple things. Last of Us is coming out April 13th. Hopefully we get screeners. I just applied for screeners, so hopefully we get that. And then my last little bit, I have two things before I'll let you give your two big things. Tom Holland says that the Target staff would not let him buy his non-alcoholic beer because they could not prove his age and wouldn't accept his ID because it's an English ID, which I think is hilarious that you still need an ID to get non-alcoholic. I guess is to make sure he's 18 or something.
Because there's still some alcohol. Like you still get ID'd for like cough medicine and stuff.
That's pretty.
Of course, people will get like.
And then my last little bit of news is that the Marvel exec Brad Winbaum says that they are exploring bringing back more Defenders characters into the MCU. So, Immortal Iron Fist will return.
Ooh,
that's what I've got.
All right. So yeah, and Jack Quaid shared a picture for season 5 of The Boys because they're filming, and I saw something that Vought Rising, which is going to be the film with Stormfront and Soldier Boy, start filming this summer. I thought they had already started filming, but that is going to take place in the 1950s. So I cannot wait for that. Hopefully we have a date on that soon. Yeah, it says to begin shooting this August. I really thought they had already started shooting. What do I know? That's all I got.
Well, let's roll into some spoilers now, folks. We'll be right back.
You've been warned.
With some spoilers for you for Captain America: Brave New World. 3, 2, 1. Blast off. So yes, Captain America Brave New World did come out on Valentine's Day. I thought it was a great, lovely gift from Marvel personally. And, not everybody agrees, but it was directed by Julius Ona. The writers were Rob Edwards, Malcolm Spellman, Dalen Musan, has Anthony Mackie as obviously Sam Wilson, Captain America. Harrison Ford is Thaddeus Ross. Danny Ramirez as Joaquin Torres. Shira Haas is Ruth, which we'll get into her. Carl Lumbly is Isaiah Bradley. Tim Blake Nelson is Samuel Stearns. Giancarlo Esposito is Sidewinder. Yeah, we're back, man. This movie, it actually did pretty well opening weekend in the box office, even though a lot of people were like, this movie, a B- on Cinema Score. We just love to hate everything because people just absolutely love to hate things for certain reasons because they just do, which honestly, I thought this was a fun return to pre-Infinity War Endgame. And I thought if this had come out before that, everybody would have been happy with the movie. Personally, the director himself was even like, hey, this movie didn't go through all these reshoots like you people are saying it did. That's been debunked. It went through normal things. There were some parts that
every
maybe
movie
you can
has
tell
reshoots, don't they? Well, at least Marvel
they
movies.
do. Every movie goes through some form of
Henry Cavill's mustache. Proof of that.
Yeah, well, no, every movie goes through reshoots, and all these nerds don't realize.
At the end of Avengers, you see Chris Evans with his hand over his mouth. He's not actually eating shawarma because he had a beard. Some other movies.
Like I said, every movie goes through reshoots and kind of fixes a couple things. And actually, Thunderbolts is the first movie coming up in Marvel where they are doing their new formula that they talked about. You can see some of that in this movie. So let's dive into it. Obviously, it starts off, this kind of had a lot of things that reminded me of other films, right? So the whole initial sequence where they're going after Sidewinder is there. They're in some church of sorts. And
to get the adamantium.
Yes, and it turned out to be adamantium. I
did not know about because I didn't watch the trailers. I was that's the part where I just whacked the crap out of Josh when they said adamantium.
Yes, that's in this. And so it opened really fun. There was a lot of action in the beginning. Sam's in his really cool red, white, and blue suit, which I thought that suit was awesome. It had some cool aerial sequences.
No more Cal. which was
I
his
love.
choice. He's like, I'm never putting that cowl on again. He had a Batman thing going on. He couldn't move his neck. So I was
Yeah.
very happy he doesn't have the cowl.
And it made sense too in terms of that he had it was very true to his character not having a cowl. And there was one scene
Yeah,
where
and
he's
he's
fighting
gonna
that
move
big
his
guy
head,
that I really
man.
liked, where he's like, I got shit to do today. And they get that the whole fight sequence was really good. So what were your thoughts on as it kind of opened that opening fight sequence?
Oh, I absolutely loved it. Did you have an opening credit scene like the Marvel? Or
No,
did the
what do you
movie
mean,
just
like
start?
the opening?
Like ours did not
Like,
do the Marvel intro.
oh, you know, I don't remember now.
Because when it
I
first
just,
started, I thought it was a Fantastic Four
huh,
trailer because it seemed a little like because it was behind the scenes. So
I
I thought
think it
I'm like,
did,
oh, this is a
but you
because
know, I
my
actually don't know.
theater also didn't do the roller coaster because I saw it at a Regal. There was no roller coaster. There was no Marvel intro. I really
Oh,
thought
I
it
thought the
was
Regal
a
too. Yeah,
Fantastic Four trailer until I saw Harrison Ford.
no, I think mine did. I don't know. I think I was just so immersed at that time. I don't remember. That's weird. Why do I not remember? I think we're
Maybe
so
you
ingrained in seeing it that
right.
subconsciously yes, I don't know. Maybe I'm going to go see it again this weekend. We'll see. And if I'll have a report back
Report back.
because I've been
And let
wanting
me
to
know if
take my
anybody
son.
else
So.
distinctly remembers or not, because I thought that that was interesting and I didn't know why they were doing
Yeah,
that.
let us
But in
know.
rewatching Daredevil, it's been fun seeing the comic book flicker. I always loved that because that was consistent with all the movies. So I was a little
I
bummed when they
love
took
the
that out of the
silent comic
MCU.
book. How like
Yeah.
DC
It's
even
like
does it where they have their silent thing going on and you hear the comics and it gives you that.
mhm.
They always change the intro too to add new characters and whatnot in as well. I
Yeah, and
didn't
I'm
think,
fine with that,
wow.
but I wish they would start it with I mean, now that Disney owns everything, I guess it's different, but it was like I felt like no matter if I was seeing Fox, Sony, Marvel, yeah, I knew I was seeing a Marvel movie because of the
Yeah,
so it's fun seeing that
exactly.
with Daredevil.
Huh,
So yeah,
interesting.
the opening fight scene I thought was fantastic. And I know I talked about this a little bit last week, or maybe it was in my article I wrote on Nerd Initiative. You know, with Sam not having the superhero serum and him having the wings and the shield, he has to have a certain kind of fight style. And the way he's
Yeah.
adapted the shield and the wings, I thought were awesome. Seeing
Oh, the
those
vibranium, dude,
vibranium
from the
wings.
Wakandans. Yeah, his suit
I kept,
even
yeah.
was made
Yes. And
from.
how it would absorb the stuff just like Black
Okay,
Panther's.
I loved that personally. I thought it was one of the cooler things because it makes a lot of sense. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if he's fighting powered up beings, he fought Thanos. I mean, god dang. I love that his wings because that's how he guards himself. You see a lot of really cool sequences in this film where he uses the wings as shields and they just
Yes.
power up and then boom. And I always love that too with T'Challa's suit because I thought that was such a cool idea.
And it also shows how strong some of these villains are. And at one
Yeah.
point, he even like says that he's like, "Damn!" with like how hard it's like hitting the wings. But what's funny is like seeing him with the wings and the shield. I thought was hilarious because he has all this stuff to protect him, whereas Chris Evans was like tied up, teeny tiny ball behind
I
the
can do
shield,
this
and
all
like
day.
so many. But I mean, how many times did we see hiding this like big muscular body
Yeah,
behind?
right. He's this jacked dude hiding behind this little shield, and he's just like,
But he
"Ah,
did
I'm
it
fine."
so
And what?
well. He'd be like in
Why are you not
full
shooting
fetal
at Cap's
position.
legs, you idiot?
No, man, he tied like he was like he did really good to
Maybe the
hide in
shield's
behind
bigger
that.
than it looks. It's like a TARDIS. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. But no, it was really cool to see those in action. But what I also loved was when he's caught off guard without those, and Sidewinder even makes the comment of like, "Oh, what are you going to do without your toys?" He held his own. He did,
Okay, that fight
great
sequence was
even like
dope
that.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, with the busting
Yeah.
up the
So
truck.
they capture Sidewinder. That sequence goes on. I thought Joaquin's entrance is really cool. I like how they played off each other. He's very much the guy in the chair at first, and then he gets on his own Falcon suit and he flies
Hmm.
in. They kind of save the day, of course, get back to Adamantium because the whole thing was set up, as we come to find out, by the leader who was trying to pit Japan, who had claimed Adamantium and all that kind of stuff for themselves, and America against each other to blow off the whole thing, as we're going to learn. And so I thought that was really cool. Playing into this mineral that they find,
This mineral,
Adamantium.
adamantium.
Yeah, well, playing into
It's
that,
a
it
new
makes a lot of
mineral on the
sense.
periodic table that was celestial.
I would have thought they would have included a lot more countries that because you see it's stronger than vibranium, and everybody's trying to get their claim. That would have been a cool aspect. Maybe we'll get some of that. But they get it to save
You
relations,
know,
and that's where we find out
So they
what
kept
you got.
going to Japan, and my thinking, and this is an educated wish, was that there would be some correlation, not necessarily with
Well, maybe that's why
Logan.
they chose Japan then.
That's kind of what I was thinking because like Dave Pro, his son is half Japanese. So and obviously Wolverine has a
That's a
lot
good.
of
That's a
roots in
good.
Japan. we only saw a nod to it in the Wolverine. They did not take his comic book like history with Japan seriously enough. Like he is
no, God,
fluent
no.
in Japanese, and yeah.
Absolutely
So
not.
every time they went there, that was where my head
Well,
went, was
that's a
like,
good
maybe
point.
that's the
I'm
connection.
wondering if maybe they do then. That's a good point. Like they lean so hard into Japan for that reason to set up down the road. Adamantium Japan are linked through Wolverine, which I've already said. I would love a Weapon X horror style movie when we get our MC Wolverine. That would be sick.
What's the Maramosa blade made out of? Is that adamantium or no? I'm gonna
I
Google
don't know off
that.
the top of my head. You Google that while I kind of go into So
your
we go and
soul.
see a really cool sequence then where they go to the boxing ring or the workout place where Isaiah Bradley's at, and they're kind of hitting around, joking with each other, playing capture the flag. That's when Sam gets a call invited to the White House from Thaddeus Ross, and they have this really tender moment between Isaiah and Sam. And Isaiah's like, "Why?" And Sam's, "We have to be together, you know." Right now, Captain America stands for so much more. There's so much dividedness that we need to show that we're together to bring people back together. And I think that I took to heart because there's so much craziness in the world out there right now, right? Everyone's so divided on all different spectrums, whether it's politically, whether it's not politically, that I thought that was a good message to have, that, hey, we need now more than ever to stand together. I'm not saying I'm going to go stand with a president. I'm saying just our fellow people standing together, coming together. He's showing that it's bigger, that there was a past between Ross. There was a past between Ross and superheroes, specifically with Captain America and what the mantle means. And so I thought it was really cool. Hey, we're moving forward together. And that was a really big, important piece that I thought really hit home in a lot of ways. And then also the veteran aspect of, you've got 3 Army vets, the things that they did to Isaiah Bradley. Sam was a counselor. Sam went through war. Joaquin was in the Army, and they all are there for each other, have each other's backs, because the government doesn't care about veterans, man. They really don't. Both real life and in this movie, as we see with Isaiah Bradley. And so that whole, hey, I got your back no matter what, Isaiah. I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to stand up for you no matter what. That was another really cool aspect I thought of this film. And Isaiah has a really tragic story. What'd you find for us?
I don't believe it was made out of adamantium, but it is believed that it might be able to cut through adamantium.
Ooh.
I feel like we could do a whole podcast on the Maramosa blade.
Yeah. Side note, did this movie kind of feel like a sequel to 2008's Incredible Hulk to you at all?
It did, and it was so nice to get back to that.
Happy about that.
I'm happy about the Betty thing, and as was I. And I love that they explained where the leader was for 6. I mean, this movie came out almost
Ross put him in a hole and basically got
years ago,
made president because of the things that the leader did, and then he just screwed him over and put him in a hole. That was crazy.
I was kind of right. Like, he was taking the stuff because he was sick. So I got one prediction right. It's the second time that's ever happened in my life. But I absolutely love that. I do want to know, like, where Betty has been. Why wasn't the Hulk mentioned? So I do feel like there's still things like that need to come up. We need a moment.
I'm very curious why Bruce Banner was not in this at all. Yeah, I think that's one thing that's missing for me, because the leader is one of his arch nemesis. Betty's directly involved. There's that scene where
now he only sees the leader as a friend, though. She was in it.
Well, yeah. And one of the cool things too about the leader, so Sam, he's back, and the cool thing is he was mutated so much through gamma radiation that his head's all messed up. And it comes to find out that Ross, his heart failed, and the leader basically saved his life, got him presidency, and then they shoved him
but he
in
also experimented on him, so he was giving him more than
and I really liked that the Blue did you catch the Mr. Blue song? Yeah, that was awesome. That was a cool call.
Josh, our theater was not full, so I was able to whisper things to him. I'm like, he calls him Mr. Blue. I whispered to
myself, or actually I was texting Lauren because I was like the only person in the theater.
I know, I was like, is this motherfucker? Yeah, you kept texting. And I was like,
watching, but I got excited because I had nobody else. I needed to share my excitement at the time. Okay, I was doing both. It was really exciting.
Oh, so I kept telling Josh things, and then Josh goes, "That's the president," and he's pointing at Harrison Ford. I'm like, "Yeah, I know. He took over William Hurt's," and I was like, "Oh, you're messing with me." So I was sharing with Josh, but he was not appreciative of me. Josh and I did right before watch the Hulk. We actually randomly watched Iron Man this week too. But you know what this mother effer did? He watched a 3-minute long video on YouTube to catch up on Falcon and Winter Soldier rather than listening to Hops Geek News or his wife or watching it. Can you believe the audacity of him?
Are you kidding? You got a lot of balls, you know that, Josh. I can't believe I slept next to you on the couch, okay? I shared a couch with somebody who didn't even listen to our podcast to catch up on Falcon and Winter Soldier.
No, he's like, I didn't have time to listen to your whole podcast or listen to me just say it. He actually had started watching the show, but I think I don't know. He doesn't have time for the shows.
I literally.
Then he watched some weird show on HBO Max.
The audience out there, all 7 people, to show support for us because our spouses don't even. Do you see the things that we do for you guys? Nobody listens to me, man. It's like my childhood all over it.
It's an abusive marriage when my husband will listen to my podcast.
You don't even like. Why don't you want me, man?
This is actually why we have a podcast.
True.
But yeah. So yeah. Going back to Josh being funny.
The Hulk. I liked. Yes. He was making fun
I know you talked about Carl Lumbly while I was Googling the sword, but oh my gosh, that one scene where he was in jail and like they're behind, like that
I can't go back inside.
Heartbreaking, the heartbreak. But even when he's behind like the glass and everything, but yeah, I can't because he's choosing to let them take him. He could keep running.
Oh he kept well when he was running after the whole taking care of the president or shooting the president. He was like fighting back as it looks like because he missed, and then it was really cool to see his powers. Right, I mean, he was fighting. He leapt out of the White House and he was running, and then he didn't even know what he was doing, and he willingly, after talking to Sam, he was huge. Yeah,
so fun to see. Yeah, but it was like
that was crazy.
I like wanted to reach through the screen and like hug this man. I felt like so bad for him, and then it's like this. I mean. Yeah, like,
can't be locked up again, man. Like, oh my gosh.
It was so heartbreaking. And like when somebody can elicit a reaction like that, like the kind of emotion and just seeing him, like you felt it created such a visceral reaction.
You did. Agreed. That
you didn't see that in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
No, you got his backstory, and then you knew that he was locked up for 30 years after the Korean War. But then I can't go back there, man. I'm not going in solitary, and it really.
But you really saw the pain.
You did. I would. Oh,
and then don't mess up my suit. Oh my gosh, because he was.
Because he was talking about his wife. Yeah.
Oh, he's like, please don't mess up my suit.
Speaking of which, I can't be the only one. So Ruth, played by Shira Haas, she was a former widow Israeli. She was tiny. First of all, she was supposed to be Sabra.
She's like a TARDIS.
F that. Sabra's a piece of garbage in the comics. Screw her. I'm glad. They should have never even mentioned the Israeli factor, in my opinion. But second of all, she was such a bitch, dude. And then number 3, she was tiny. There's that scene where they're walking out of the base through the wire, and she looks like a toddler next to Anthony Mackie.
She does.
How tall is Anthony Mackie's got to be tall?
He's got to be at least 6 foot, I would think, just because you see him up against everybody else. I think the only one that's short is Robert Downey Jr. Oh, yeah. Well, she had to be a bitch. She's a woman in power. Like, if you want to take command of something,
he's
like,
5'10".
Anthony Mackie's only 5'10"?
He's only 5'10".
Oh.
Maybe 5'11" on a good day. Who knows? But
they put them in boots.
Yeah, she just looked like a toddler. I don't know. She is. It doesn't say, actually. I was trying to look at how tall she was, but I don't really. We could have done without her whole character. They should have cut her whole character.
No, they needed somebody though, because I feel like she was the character that made things easier. Like it would have been, harder to get them out of the jail. And like, there were certain things that she was able to okay. But, sometimes it was like, okay, that was almost a little too easy because now she's helping. So I didn't dislike her character. I just didn't love it, but I don't feel like it was her fault. I felt like it was kind of just in the story.
Marvel didn't really know what to do with her. They could have, you're right.
But they needed that segue to be able to, okay, well, we need somebody to approve this, or else how are they going to get out of this?
The plot forward.
Yes, she moved the plot forward. Yes. I feel like we needed Deadpool there to be like, she's here so we can get out of jail. Like,
I do appreciate how like he got his suit back, like she gave the suit back, all that kind of stuff. She ends up listening to them. I thought the fight sequence is really good, especially in the base where, Joaquin and Sam are fighting against the guys who are controlled. And I will say one thing as well is when his Navy SEAL guy, they went to Norfolk. First of all, I can tell you as somebody who lives in this area, that's not Norfolk, but minor complaint.
Shocking. Is it Atlanta, Georgia?
It's probably
Georgia.
Nowhere in Norfolk that I've seen. First and foremost,
there's probably a zombie in the background somewhere.
A Navy SEAL training. Who knows? Maybe it is. I'm not privy to everything, but the Navy SEAL guy got killed. I was like, oh man, they killed him for no reason. Like that was sad. That's true.
I do feel bad for him.
Oh, the Navy SEAL guy who found out about the gamma blood. Yeah, I thought that was cool. So I thought it was clever how they got Ross to basically tricked into becoming Red Hulk. So I thought it was really clever by Samuel Stearns he saved his life. He gave him the pills and he was upping and messing with gamma radiation that he was taking. That was a
became
really
the
clever
monster
way to.
he was going after. Yes.
I thought that was extremely clever. And I was like, oh,
It
that
was
would make a
good.
lot of sense how he would become, because he would never willingly do or take anything. So we're feeding him gamma that way. I thought that whole storyline made a lot of sense. I liked how it happened. I wish they would have kept that a secret, but I also understand for the international audiences, they showed Red Hulk to get asses in seats. That's kind of unfortunately where it is, because,
Oh, you wish they had saved that
I
whole Red Hulk.
I think if they
Oh.
had saved Red Hulk's appearance, it would have hit harder, but I know why they couldn't do it for marketing purposes, especially for the overseas audience. So I
That would have
understand
been
why
a
they
fun
didn't.
surprise.
It
I'm
would
sure a
have,
lot of
right?
people would have guessed it was going to happen though, because he's such a prominent character in this, and it's Harrison Ford now. But
But
yeah,
still, it would have been great to have
dude,
that scene. Whatever. I mean, I still enjoyed it, but I also
yeah,
really enjoyed the almost hulking out when they didn't
yes.
even go around the Celestial. And I
Harrison
thought,
Ford did a fantastic job with that.
yeah, right. Thank you. I'm glad nobody has talked about that. And then nobody has really
I saw an interview
appreciated.
where they were asking him. They're like, "Well, how do you,
Oh,
like not like ignore the fact that you look stupid like doing this?" And Harrison Ford goes, "Money. They pay me great." If
I'll
anybody
do a
hasn't watched
lot
the
of
interviews
stupid
with
things.
Harrison
Yeah.
Ford for this movie, they're amazing. Go
But he's
watch them.
having
They're
fun
so
again
good.
too at the same time. Like Harrison
Anthony
Ford's legit
Mackie,
having fun again.
yes, Anthony Mackie actually said in an interview that he loves how much fun he's seen Harrison Ford having while making this movie. I mean, he's
Good.
80
I'm
years
glad.
old. He's so freaking rich. He's working
He
for the
doesn't
fun of it.
need
I mean,
money, but yeah,
yeah.
I mean, you can see with Shrinking in this movie, he's back to having kind of fun again, which I
Even the last
really
Indiana
appreciate.
Jones. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I liked Indiana Jones. I thought that was awesome. And I really, really appreciated that. I thought the flying sequences with the airplanes and how they had to stop
My
the
God,
missiles and
cut that
the two
wing with the
F-18s fighting each
or
other.
with the
Yeah,
wing. Yeah, that
that
was
was some of the
cool.
best air-to-air combat that I think we've seen in the MCU as well. That was really, really well done. I loved how he had his helmet only for flying, because again, that makes sense. You're flying
Mhm.
high speeds. You've got your
He got a little
helmet.
bit of nanotech, not a whole outfit, but a little
And
bit.
people are complaining about that. I don't have a problem in that case, because 99% of the time, if he's on the ground fighting, he does not have that helmet. It's when he's flying.
The
Again,
other option
makes a
is the
lot of
stupid
sense.
cowl where he can't move his head. I don't want as much as I
Right.
love Michael Keaton's Batman, like, he can't move his head. That's not realistic.
No.
It's the same thing as a girl, like, no offense to Black Widow. It's the same
With
thing
their
as a girl
hair.
fighting with her hair in her face. Come on, dude. Best part of
Agreed.
Birds of Prey was when they're like, "Does anybody have, my hair's in my face?" And
Yeah,
Harley's like,
hair
"Do you
tie,
need
and
a
they
hair
tie their
tie?"
hair.
I love that scene.
Agreed.
I always have a hair tie on my wrist.
Because
Always.
you're not fighting, because then the hair's in your face and you're sweating, so the hair's sticking to your
I know.
face, and
Every time
then
I
you're
get
getting
into a
punched in
fight,
the
I
face.
put my hair in a bun first. It's
Obviously,
just
it's
smart,
true.
guys.
I have seen it in person, guys. Come on, haven't you?
Not a
But
ponytail, because I could pull that. You gotta do a bun. But
yeah,
yeah,
no,
no, it made complete sense to me.
it was good. It was a really good. And then of course Joaquin gets sent to the hospital, and the mother fricker, he surfed a missile. That was dope. I loved those sequences, and you got to see Tiamat at the same time, the Celestial, and then that whole thing, how it played out. That was awesome. And then we go in the big climactic battle of the Hulk versus how he hulked out very organically. I
Okay.
mean, he got mad about press questions. That was cool.
Yeah. But I
But it
will
also
say,
wasn't
though,
Betty's
the
voice on the phone. I'm just saying.
cherry blossom scene, though, was like, whoa, that was
It
very
was
much
a
so
little color
CGI. It was,
graded.
yeah, I
Okay,
was like, I
yeah.
don't know
When he's
what.
standing there, Anthony's giving his big speech at the end. It's like, dude's so against a green screen. It's so obvious. It kind of wasn't.
Yes.
It kind of took me out a little bit, because I was like, dude,
It
this
took me
is
out
really
for sure,
bad
yeah.
CGI.
So Bleeding Rainbow Comics actually did a reaction video, and they're part of Nerd
Yeah.
Initiative. And I was watching the reaction video, and they're like, there's one scene that you could tell was like in the volume, and I was like, I knew exactly what they were talking about
As soon as I
immediately.
saw it, I was like, oh, honey, whatever. But I thought the fight between
No, the
Hulk
fight was
and
fantastic.
Cap are
Yeah.
awesome. And it made sense. Everyone's like, well, Hulk would just wipe him clean. And, obviously they had the whole talk with Bucky. He's running for Congress, talked about why he didn't take, you're better than taking the serum. And then the fight's going down. I liked again, it was really cool how he stabs him with the wing and uses that energy charged up to fire it at him. That made a lot of sense. The shield, and when he's getting hit with the wings and the shield, and he was like, holy crap, that was awesome.
That might have been the scene, yeah, where he was like,
I think it
oh,
was.
and it shows the power of the enemy.
Yeah. And I thought the whole Hulk CGI was great. The fight was great, but obviously he was never going to win. And then I love after the end, he was like, I should have took Bucky's full of shit, basically. I love that, because Sam was like, I should have took the serum. It was, but it made sense why he doesn't. I get
Yes.
it. You have to be better than that, which is a whole thing towards, people of color always having to take the higher road and all that stupid nonsense. I get
Well,
it.
yeah, I know I talked about it last week. I think it's great symbolism though to show that the extra effort he has
Yeah.
to make to be treated the same. I think that was beautifully done.
He didn't have
when
to
they
buy a
went,
drink in this movie. They bought it. That was on the house. He didn't have to, they gave him a free drink versus last time. And we saw him, he couldn't get a mortgage.
oh, at the bar. I'm like, what are you talking about? I paid for my beer at the movie theater.
No. He
They
like,
gave
it's
me
on
a
the
free
house.
drink.
Whereas, beforehand
Yeah.
it was, dude, he couldn't get a freaking mortgage.
I know, with his sister. So when we first went into like the like office that was like him and Joaquin's, after I saw the Miami Heat hat and I saw the Miami Heat
cool setup,
jacket and the UM hat, we saw a picture of him and Bucky, and that made me so happy to think that like not only did he take a picture smiling with Bucky, but he framed it. And in my
They
head,
said I love you to each other.
I know, but at the beginning I was
cute.
like, you know what? I'm happy that there's a picture and they acknowledged it. If he doesn't show up, I'll be okay. And then when he showed up,
he's running for Congress, which is weird. And he's like, he's 110 years old.
That was hilarious. When he's like, he's 110, and she's like, I can work with that. I think we can.
Yeah. But it was a really tender, sweet moment between the two, like
because they love each other. They're best friends.
Do.
Honestly, I love their friendship more than I love either of them with Steve, because the way they started, they were like brothers.
I'm so glad.
But they were like brothers that hated each other, and now they're like brothers that grew up and they still hate each other, but they love each other. I love them so much.
1,000% agree. I like the two of them together more than I like them with Steve separately for that reason too. It feels right, I guess, is the only word I can use. It just feels right that they're best friends.
And even in real life, like the clips of them, like when Sebastian won like an award and Anthony Mackie keeps like crashing the award and they're like, and I feel like, it's like with Supernatural. I feel that stuff often when they love each other off screen, I feel like that shows sometimes on
100%.
screen. I really think it does.
Well, the chemistry, I mean, the chemistry bleeds to on screen. You have to have that real life chemistry in order to make it work fakely, right? And I think it does perfect.
I mean, you always hear of people who hate each other that, still do good movies here. What is it in Game of Thrones? Like Cersei and the Hound can't be.
They couldn't. No, it wasn't the Hound. It was what's his name? Oh my God, they dated. It was the guy who was.
He was friends with Tyrion.
Yeah. They dated.
I can't remember his name, but he was friends with Tyrion. Yeah, and he's like, I have to go now because Cersei's coming out.
She's coming. Oh, bye. Peace. Yes, they're not. They couldn't work together. But you're right. It is funny how that stuff kind of plays out.
Is there anything in the comics where Bucky's running for?
I'm sure there
office?
is. I'm not as well read.
I have to find that. Well, I mean, and I'm sure they'll hash all that out in Thunderbolts. Clearly, I'm going to
go over all that before the Thunderbolts. Yeah, or maybe he does. Well, that leads me to my next question. Actually, Ross is not president anymore because the Hulk. They never show his VP? Do you think his VP was Valentina?
Oh, that'd be funny because she's the VP
president now.
I don't.
Do you think would be president now, or do you think it's just not going to? It's inconsequential.
I don't. What happened to the guy that was president in Secret Invasion that decided to attack all the aliens?
Oh, I don't know. Secret Invasion never happened, as far as I'm concerned. So I have no idea.
Because that ended with like, if you're an alien, you're not safe anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
So who do I think is president? I don't think it's Val, because I don't think she would be handling the Thunderbolts if she was president. No.
Why not? Because the superheroes are working together now, and
I don't think she wants to be in
how to use the superheroes.
I think she's too smart to be president. I don't think she wants all eyes on her. I think she lurks in the shadows, and like how she gave John Walker like a card, and she walks away, and he's like, "There's nothing on this card." Like, I think she's very much so like, "I'll reach out to you. This is how I work." I don't think she wants to be in the limelight. I think she wants control, maybe, but I don't think she wants
behind the scenes. Yeah.
Visual control. Yeah, she's too smart for that. She's,
that's fair.
I feel like she's an evil genius.
I am curious because they never showed his VP, so I wonder if that has a impact later on.
Yeah, I don't know. But we did see her in Wakanda Forever. Remember? She was married to Martin Freeman's character, or divorced.
Okay, no, she was. I'm saying they never showed Ross's
Harrison Ford's VP.
He was never around. So I'm wondering if that was intentional, was my only real big thing. Because even at these big press conferences and things, the vice president's typically there in the background.
It's Rhodes. And he's a Skrull.
Don't know. No. Let's not do
Oh,
that.
I did like, so I felt like this was a nod to Iron Man 2 when Don Cheadle took over as War Machine, when he's like,
Yeah.
makes a comment about him like looking different or whatever. And so they did that with Harrison replacing. He's like, oh, I like the new look or whatever.
Yeah, they said either win the election or lose the mustache or whatever.
Right. So I thought that was cute. What did they do that in something else too? Like, oh, they did it in Hulk. Is that what
Oh,
they did?
yeah.
Did they do it
Well,
with
they didn't
Hulk?
really acknowledge I don't know. But I do see what you're saying. That was a
They did it
little
with
nod.
something where they're like, I feel like a whole new person. What the hell was that?
It might have
I
been.
don't know.
I don't know, man.
I forget. I have to watch everything all over again.
I do too, but there's so much going on. I really enjoyed this movie. I liked that it felt like we're now connecting things again in the MCU. Things started to come back together. I know we have been so fragmented, but things are starting to come back together, man. And I like that. And it was a good movie. I thought the plot was great. A couple things could have been better. Of course, I gave it an 8 out of 10 overall. Personally, that's my choice. 3.5 out of 5.
Right,
if you
right there with you.
And so I didn't have complaint. Was really excited for this movie. It did not let me down. I had fun. I go to the movies. I shut my brain off. I have fun. I don't think Marvel movies. Not every movie is an Oscar film. And so when I go to certain movies, I know I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, that's going to win awards, because I don't give a shit about awards. Am I entertained? No. Is Matt Roth himself entertained?
Carl Lumbly deserves an award.
Although, yes. And I would love to see his own show, but I go in, if I'm entertained, I like it.
And they could do it
and
as
I was
like
entertained.
A prequel. I even thought about that during the movie. Like, if
Special
they did something where they went back and forth. Yeah. And they went into like some of his memories and like what actually went down and how it went down. That would be difficult to watch at times, but that would be really cool. Like, yes, shine more light on this man. He's so fucking good, man.
Yeah. How could you swear? This is a children's show. Dang it.
I'm trying to stop. It's really hard.
I enjoyed it. I had fun. I can't wait till Thunderbolts. Seeing the Superman trailer and the Fantastic Four trailer. Dude, even Ballerina looks great.
Well, we got there late.
And Jurassic Park looks great. I'm not going to lie. Jurassic
Park
Thunderbolts.
Has me,
the Thunderbolts trailer on the big screen, the Superman on the big screen, the Fantastic Four trailers, all those trailers look really good. 2025 is going to be a big year for movies. I'm excited. Do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up our Captain America Brave New World?
I very much so enjoyed this. I think the thing I loved the most was what you said. Like, it takes us back to the beginning of the MCU. It is full circling everything. This truly was an MCU movie that tied things together. Like, Deadpool and Wolverine did tie things together, but that was a Fox movie in the MCU.
Yeah.
This did a fantastic job of sprinkling in some Fox stuff. And I really think that ultimately, and I say ultimately as a kind of a pun, I think it's going to pay off. I do think that we are going to slowly get they're not just going to be like, bam, here's Cyclops right away. So I think they're just doing a fantastic job. I love this so much. Obviously, it wasn't a perfect. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. I did rate it a little higher just because of all these things with Hulk that we have wanted for so long.
I am so glad that 2008 Hulk paid off. Yeah, we got Betty back.
Yes.
And so I'm hoping we get more with Betty.
Leader back. And you know what? William Hurt did deserve to tell this story. But at least this Thunderbolt Ross's story was still told. It was still told. Although when they went to the raft,
why he looked sickly in the previous film about his heart and stuff. I would say.
Black Widow, they mentioned it. Yeah. My biggest complaint is when they went to the raft. I wanted to see Zemo. I just wanted a little like, hey Zemo, when like Falcon was at the raft, because he went to the raft at the end.
Yeah,
I thought that
that's
was
true.
fun.
I thought
and the end credit scene wasn't good. We already knew that was happening. There was nothing new.
We're gonna get a secret war. No shit, buddy.
Yeah,
Give us
hinting
something else.
That wasn't. I mean, maybe they're pulling back on that.
March, damn it. I don't know.
But that might be good that they're pulling back on making promises they can't keep.
Yeah, maybe. But I agree. I think the end credit scene was weak. Overall, the movie is good. I can't wait to see where we go. Go to the movies, man. Have fun. Don't listen to Rotten Tomatoes. Don't listen to the internet discourse. It's always going to be toxic. The negativity far outweighs and is louder than the positivity. Go to these movies. See them for yourself. Make your own opinion is all I'm asking. Just, if you can, go see it for yourself. Let us know as well what you thought about Captain America Brave New World. Let us know what 2025 film you're even excited for. Go check out our website, www.hops-geek-news.com. And if you want to support the show, Patreon, patreon.com/hopsgeeknews. We just did Dodgeball as our family movie night. We do that each month. Maybe we'll do a heavyweights here soon because Lauren's never seen it, and it's got Ben Stiller again in it. And
I'm
we
sure
like
it
to do-
aged fantastically well.
I'm sure it did. A lot of fun stuff going on. So thank you guys for hanging out with us. This has been a review for Captain America: Brave New World. We will see you guys next week where we get you ready for Daredevil: Born Again. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss that one. I am so excited. We are living, eating well amongst the chaos of the world. And thanks for hanging out one more time. Cheers.